Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm David Mathis, and today I have two very special guests with me, Laurin Conlin and Laurin Conley. Thank you guys for coming onto my channel. I appreciate it.
Of course. No, thank you for having us.
I've known Laurin and Ryan for a couple years now, and actually, I don't know if I've ever told you this, you're the reason why I'm at USF.
Oh, I don't know if you've told me that or not, but
So,
that's awesome.
Do you remember your video that you put up of you presenting at ISSN?
Yeah.
Yeah. That video is how I actually got introduced to you on YouTube,
shit.
and then that's how I found out about USF.
Oh, that's
and
so
how
awesome.
it's like right in my backyard.
Nice.
I had already been going back for my prereqs. I already knew I was going to go back for exercise science. I just didn't know where yet.
Yeah.
And then I found out about that, and I started looking into it a little bit more.
Oh.
So
Nice.
I mean, honestly,
I don't even know if I told you that or not. Actually,
I don't know. I feel like I would have remembered that. So, honestly, like the program is so great, and it's really morphed into something amazing. So I'm just so happy that people come from now all over just to go to that program.
Oh yeah, the last 2 years, I'm finishing up in December, and over the last 2 years, the people that have come in, I think he said, I don't know if it was your class or the class after, but our class almost like a third more, and now this year
cool.
there's even more.
Wow.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's really growing.
That's
it's getting the word out.
It's getting rolling for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I wanted to sit down with them for a little bit and just talk. Ryan competes in powerlifting. Laurin is an IFBB pro bikini
New
competitor. New division out there, guys. And I just wanted to pick their brains a little bit, kind of go into some of the topics of your interest and kind of go beyond a little bit more and just kind of get your guys' perspective on things. So what first got you interested in bodybuilding and then competing?
So I went to my first show, and I saw the figure girls, and this was like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
Like it was pretty early. So figure looks way different now than it did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So went to that show, and I was just like, wow, like I really like the figure chicks. This looks awesome. Bikini wasn't even on my radar to like watch. I was like, what is this?
Right.
Was that even a class then?
It was, and it was like the
It was
TNA hooker
new,
division
yeah.
in South
Pretty
Florida.
much like who looked good on South Beach, let's throw them up on stage.
Yeah, and especially
sort of thing.
the first show I went to was in South Florida, so it was very like, looked like that, and I was like, okay, what is this division? And then, figure was just super badass and, really muscular, but, again, still like a different level of muscularity than it is now. And I met one of the trainers at my gym who used to be a really well-known female bodybuilder back when it was a kind of quick figure.
Yeah.
And she was, this big scary German lady who was like, you should do this. And I was like, okay, Sonny, sure, I'll do this. So I got, that was my first exposure to it. And then the gym that I was training at the time actually was like a really just hardcore meathead gym, which I didn't know at the time was not how all gyms were.
Right.
And it was just like this really cool culture of people who were, recreational bodybuilders. It wasn't like it was Ronnie Coleman training there, but
Right.
just recreational bodybuilders who,
That'd be pretty cool, though.
that would be
Oh my
that would
gosh.
be pretty sick. No, I don't train at Metroflex. That was not my first gym, which would be awesome.
Just
but
randomly see Branch. And
yeah,
everybody
just all
was
those
hanging
people.
out.
Yeah. So it was just a cool little bodybuilding culture, and I just started, training, and that's how I got into it.
Nice. So Ryan,
Yes,
you just came off of a meet this past weekend.
Yeah, I lifted some stuff up.
A little bit. New deadlift PR.
Yep.
New total PR.
Mm-hmm.
And squat.
And what?
And squat.
Oh, you hit
And
squat too. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
All around.
The only thing I didn't do was bench.
Okay. All right.
Bench regressed a little bit. That's okay.
How are you feeling coming
All
off
right.
that?
I'm alive.
You're alive, yeah.
Legs were really stiff for a couple days, but besides that.
And have not started training yet again?
Nope.
Nothing like that?
No, I like to take about a week off after a meet, just to more so mentally just recoup from everything, because training cycle after year, you just get like to where you don't even want to look at a gym for a little bit.
Yeah.
So a good week off never hurt anybody.
Well, and then I don't think a lot of people understand the mental approach
Yeah.
and everything you put into it from a mental side. It takes all of your focus, and you're a firefighter, so you have quite a busy schedule and not a whole lot of time to train. How do you find the time to fit your training in and still be a firefighter?
So a lot of it's just time management, like duh, but it's also because a lot of guys have like in the fire service, they have a side job and they have a family, and they usually have like a hobby, but not everyone is going to do all three of those. And for where I'm at right now, I'm still fairly young, so I think that I still have more to do in the sport, and I just treat it a lot it's more than a hobby to me, so I treat it like in priority how it should be in my world. So I make sure that if I don't sleep really well, you come home and get a nap in. You're prepping your food, so I'll usually eat with the guys at the station, 1 or 2 meals, and then I'll bring extra meals on top of that.
Right.
And then I travel 2 hours to work, so I'll usually have like a protein shake on the way down there. Just like small details like that. Try and get a nap in on shift.
Yeah.
So after lunch, you got a couple hours if you're not running calls to lay down and not do any chores and stuff. So try and get a nap in there. But honestly, that's the biggest thing, is just prioritizing some sleep and some recovery.
Absolutely.
I feel like the food's such a big thing that like
That's
people
it.
overlook.
Oh yeah.
And he's
100%.
always on top of his food, like just literally always.
Are you still doing the vertical diet stuff, or are you kind of?
I honestly that's one of the basics almost to me, like a staple, which I just really like rice and beef, and
I'm the same way.
It just
It
tastes
has
so
really
good.
nothing to do. I love Stan.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, but I
Yeah.
just love the combination.
and I think
of
I
it, so.
kind of did a lot of that before he ever made it, because it is a pretty common bodybuilding thing, is like rice
Right.
and whatever, chicken,
a
beef,
lean beef,
some
or
lean
something.
beef.
Yeah.
But the way that he breaks down like the micronutrients and the smaller things, it just gives me a little bit more direction of like the vegetables and like what I can and can't eat, but things that I should focus more on. Like if I'm eating at dinner,
Right.
like have some more salad or something to get some more fiber, because maybe I didn't have a lot with the rice. So small details like that help me organize just and be consistent more so than anything.
Yeah. So I want to get a little bit into coaching with you in a minute, but kind of going back to the exercise science program, other than the educational aspect of it, what did you think that, what do you think that you got out of our program the most that has helped you with your business, or just, you do a lot of speaking engagements now. What do you think you've learned from our program that has helped you?
So first and foremost, I know you've interviewed Campbell recently,
Yep.
but so that was my mentor and is still a mentor to me today. So really the biggest thing I got out of that was just that like he was such a great, like
Yeah.
I've earned him as a mentor and a friend like over my life. So that was probably one of the best things that could have ever happened.
If you guys haven't watched that video,
yeah,
go back
do
and
that.
watch the Dr. Campbell
Yeah.
interview. He's an amazing man.
He's just the best all around. But really the best thing I took away from the actual program was when I was really being involved in research. So I did my own research project, which the program's a little bit different now with how the lab runs research. It's more like collaborative.
Right.
But when I was there, I came in, I did my own study, and I learned so much from that, just like interacting. It's basically like I coached these 30 people. Now, I don't say the word coach because obviously that's not like a scientific term. I don't want to make it seem like I coached some people more than I coached others. But I was just basically like, they had their plans, they had their programs, and I just asked them questions. I just drilled them every time I got to see them, like asking them stuff and just learning from, obviously their results, but also like what they said.
Right.
And that really, really helped me, I think, because at the time I was coaching people and it was like, a small side thing that I was doing. And I still wasn't even really sure if that's what I was going to do
Yeah.
eventually, but it really was like taking on these 30 people and just learning how different types of dieting affected them, and it was a lot less clear cut than I went into it thinking,
Right.
because I think a lot of times it's so positioned as like you should do this or you should do this, and it's very, very black and white, and really it was such a gray mix,
Yeah, absolutely.
of learning from everybody, and I think that was really eye opening to me, like, hey, this is like what the real world is, and like real people, like how they're responding.
Right, because they weren't competitors. They
Nope.
were just
They were just
average
people who
people. There were
worked
30
out.
case studies for you to
Yeah.
learn on.
Exactly.
Almost kind of like an internship. in
Normal
some
weight,
ways, so.
underweight, overweight, resistance trained, and so it was kind of like a mixed bag.
Yep.
And yeah, I learned a lot from that.
And your study looked at flexible dieting approach compared to a meal plan. Yep. So what did you find from those results?
Really, for all intents and purposes, there's no differences. So obviously this was a 20-week study and not a 5-year study. But
Right.
20 weeks is pretty long for most nutrition research. So we did a 2-week baseline period, and then we did a 10-week diet. So they either had the macros, or they had a meal plan, which was flexible in and of itself. There was choices, but meal plan, and then 10 weeks of a post-diet period where I said, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Come back though for testing, please. And just please come
Forget
back.
about that aspect
Oh
of it.
man, it's always just gotta say, it was always my first and my last appointments that skipped. Never the people in the middle. Always the first and the last. But in any case, I'm still harboring resentment over that 5 years later.
5 years later, man, it's already.
No, it's not been 5 years, but
No. But time does fly by.
it's been a while. I'm like, oh shit, it has been a
Probably
while.
3 or so.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
2015. I did the research because then I graduated
In 2016, yeah. Wow. Side
But
note,
yeah, sorry. We're like, hold on, when was that? Where was I? Oh yeah. So.
Yeah.
The two different diets, and I wanted to look at, does how you diet affect weight loss or weight regain?
Mm-hmm.
And really, there was no major differences. The only difference we saw was on one marker. The flexible group did have an increase in lean body mass post diet.
Right.
That was the only significant marker with everything that we looked at for body comp measures.
Okay.
Even the psychological questionnaire we looked at, there was no differences. And so that one, it was a pretty strong, relationship as far as the lean body mass, but we don't really know why that could have been. It might have just been, so I don't rest anything on that, this was a
Right.
definitive thing. Really, for all intents and purposes, how you diet, there was no science to show that there was a difference. Now,
Personal
when I talk to
preference.
people, the people who really thrived on the flexible approach, people who were just more advanced, they'd already done this previously. And then the people who thrived with the meal plan, which is what we always hear about, so bad, don't eat on the meal plan. People thrived on the meal plan even afterwards, and it was because they didn't have that structure before. They didn't know what to eat. So when I
Right.
gave them that, they were like, oh, I know, now I kind of have an idea of what to do, what to add, what to eliminate.
Right. Even I coach people with flexible dieting, but I myself prefer a meal plan.
Mm-hmm.
But I have that tool in my toolbox
Exactly.
to be able to do it.
Yeah.
At least 4 of my 5 or 6 meals I like to have planned.
Yeah.
But, did you find any, I don't know if this was on the questionnaire at all, and this just kind of popped in my head. Did you find any correlation between people that were more like type A personalities and
There
meal
wasn't
plan?
on there.
Nothing on there?
No.
That would be really interesting for me because I'm a very type A
Yeah.
plan and I like meal plans.
Yeah.
So-
No, that would be interesting. I think they call that neurotyping, I believe. It's
Is
like
it?
when you're using your maybe I'm using the totally wrong term, it could be. But there is basically a way of eating or training or thinking is based off of your personality, essentially.
Okay.
Which makes perfect sense. I mean, there are certain people, and they've shown that with lifting, some of the lifting research,
Yeah.
with the Big 5 questionnaire,
Yeah.
which is pretty much one of the most accurate. If anybody's looking for a personality test,
Big 5.
Big 5 personality test. Jordan Peterson actually has an amazing website. It's like $10. It's called understandmyself.com.
Oh, okay.
So you can take it and it breaks down the Big 5 into also the 2 subcategories.
Yeah.
It's like a 15-page printout. You just
Pretty
take
impressive.
it's
It's
really
cool.
it's really cool.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, and it's super accurate.
Yeah, it tells you what you're good at and then what you need to work on and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good $10.
Good. All right, I'll look into it. So Ryan is a strength coach also. What has kind of influenced your style of coaching?
So a couple things. I would say that there's probably 3, and it's probably going to be the 3 things that I pick are probably going to be very similar for most people. I would say. My original mentor, Jeremy Herring, I just got extremely lucky to where he was one of my high school weight training coaches.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that that fell in my lap. You can't get better than that. So he was a competitive powerlifter, a D1 shot thrower for FIU. Played football, all the above, and he got his master's degree from FIU in sports science.
Okay.
So I was just very fortunate to be able to learn from him at a young age, like in high school when you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And learn through asking him questions, being excited to learn. Like I still have my notes from high school that I wrote during his class.
Really? Okay.
And also just going in, and the second thing was he was a great mentor, but then I also asked questions and I went out on my own and practiced. So
Yeah.
I would say the second biggest important thing is going and doing it yourself. Training teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
And you can't replace that with books. It's just impossible. So
I think actually I heard it from JL, said something about information is great,
yeah.
but it doesn't mean anything unless you apply it.
Exactly.
So it's
And
kind
it's
of the
true.
same thing you're looking at.
And there's time and place for education, 100%. Like I still enjoy reading. I was talking to you potentially thinking about going back to school,
Right.
but has to be a way to just read. You have to be able to read and understand information and be able to ask the correct questions
Mm-hmm.
and know when to take information and just dispose of it and when to take something and like try and run with it and see if that works.
Right.
And the only place you can do that is in the real world, because if something doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. So I would
Yeah.
say those 2 people, and then just continuing education and reading,
Absolutely. Okay, Laurin, so you have been around the competition world for a few years now, quite a while. You've gained a great reputation, you go out speaking. From all your interactions with people, competing, what do you see needs to be changed the most in I'll just say the fitness and nutrition industry? Like either bad advice or just a bad portrayal of something. Like what would you like to see cleared up and changed the most?
I think that there just needs to be more nuanced education, because I think that there's a lot of information out there, but like you were saying, like, well, information, yeah, is one thing, but are you going to be able to apply it? But not even just that, is this actually like nuanced, applicable application? Like, and information. So I think a lot of times this comes on the consumer's end, like people aren't asking the right questions, and people aren't looking for it to be, they're looking for the quick answer.
Fix,
they're looking for the short clickbait title and the clickbait video and things like that.
Right.
Where I think that nuance is really the only way that you can truly understand anything. So, not everybody's, I understand, going to want to sit down and like read piles of research. Like that's not super exciting to most people.
And most people don't know how to actually read research to understand.
That is another true thing. That's why there's great things like research reviews, you know what I mean? So like Mass is a great research review that you can look at if you're interested in science. Just as like one example. But I just think in general, like the shift needs to be towards, again, more nuanced education that is not just looking for the short form stuff. And I think that is why, podcasts have taken off, because it is longer form stuff and people are actually interested. Some people, it's maybe a smaller subset, but they're interested in hearing this kind of longer form dialogue. And even longer YouTube videos, like I know yours are a little bit longer, mine are a little bit longer. I'm not looking to make a 5-minute catchy video with this crazy thumbnail. Like it's just not what I'm interested in.
So we're not going to see any 20K food challenges out of you?
I mean, I might do that just for fun, not necessarily to get more views.
Do the science behind
but,
what's going on.
Hey, this is a lot of calories, probably going to get fat, but this is going to be really fun. That's my fantasy food day.
And speaking of podcasts, you have one, don't you? Would you like to talk about your podcast?
I have a few. So, co-host Redefine Healthy Radio with Paul Ravella.
Yeah.
Co-host The Unglamorous Life with Celeste Bonin, one of my best friends. And then we also just started the newest one, which is the Team Local Fit Roundtable. So it's myself and all 4 Team Local Fit coaches. So Ryan, Jillian, Karina, and Laurin. Basically every week we just get together and choose a few topics that we're seeing with clients or coaching or just even the industry in general, and we just kind of dive into it. So 3 different podcasts.
I'll link them down in the description box
clearly
so you guys can go check them out.
The long form content is a little bit better than the short stuff for me. So I would say that really that's the biggest change, is that like people are really interested in like the easy stuff, whether it's like, oh hey, I don't want to go learn in person anymore, I want a webinar, I want a video course.
Right.
Do you know how much you can learn from an in-person event? Like it is like the amount of in-person
crazy
stuff that we've gone to over the years, it surmounts more, probably like a huge just chunk of like what we know, and the relationships that you make there.
Gain from that.
Well, I think that's what separates you guys, especially from people that I know, separates you guys from others, is that you guys actually invest in your time and your money going to these different events. I mean, you guys, are you planning on going out to the Physique Summit?
Yeah, I'm speaking.
You're speaking at it, that's right.
So
I'm trying to get out there. I'm going to be at Raw
awesome.
Nationals the next weekend, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do
Where's
2
that
weekends. Chicago.
Just stay out there.
I
know.
Well, drive over.
Well, I'm from up near Chicago, so I'll just go stay with family
Yeah.
and stuff. Actually, I messaged back with John Gorman the other day, back and forth. He's like, "Are you gonna come?" I'm like, "I'm trying, man. I'm trying."
Yeah. No,
I really
it's
want
such
to.
a good event. But yeah, like going to stuff like that, events like that where there's a handful of speakers where you're going to be able to interact with people afterwards and ask the questions that you really want to hear, and even
do the
just
networking and stuff.
Like we've driven up to events last minute or fly places, like people don't realize, but like that is 100% necessary.
And the connections that we have from that, like I can text Jail, I can text Ed Cohn, I can text Donnie Thompson. Like if I have questions, I'm just like, shoot Steve Goggins. Like I have these resources to where if I don't know something, which is a lot of shit, I'm like, who would be the best to ask this question? And then you just send it off. And
because believe it or not, guys, your coach doesn't always have every answer. But
no way.
No one person has every answer.
No.
But having those, we would never had those connections if we hadn't have gone and done those events.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you meet them and they know that you're taking this seriously and that you want to learn. So they respect that and then they'll give you their time.
So this question was more geared towards you, but if I'm correct, you have kind of taken on to RPR a little bit too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys can both answer this a little bit. So RPR, if you guys don't know, is Reflexive Performance Reset. You want to tell us a little bit more about it and how you kind of implement it as a strength coach?
Yeah, so there's another company called Be Activated, which is a physiotherapist that taught the RPR instructors. They're basically sister companies. So one of the things that we'd spoken about, and I'd spoken with JL, who's one of the owners of RPR, is that one of the things we used to always say was like, you can't understand it until you feel it.
Right.
Which in all honesty is kind of like a cop-out for us trying to explain something.
Yeah.
And it is, and yet it's so true at the same time. So like I understand where he's coming from, and the system itself to me is, we have a lot of different rivers flowing through, like physical therapy and chiropractic and basically just body and mental health and like intertwining those.
Right.
And Douglas Heel and his philosophy and reflexive performance, all of them are just really shifted a little bit to the right, in my opinion, and it's just more of like a holistic view of the entire neuromuscular system.
Mm-hmm.
And we say neuromuscular system all the time, and like that's what a lot of people go and learn, but we always forget about the neuro side, and we always focus on the muscular side. And it's something that's worded together for a reason. So we have to start treating it like that, and this really just lays you out a foundational system that starts in an order of operations, and it's testable and retestable. So if you don't get a result, then keep going and do something else. So that's why I like it, because it's given me, a moron, the ability to have a system and use that system and stay within the frameworks and make changes that work. So
Right.
that's why I appreciate it.
And you've done it on me a couple times before in the past. Actually, I have another video with Ryan that we did last year in the USF lab, and I'll link that down below. So, guys, this stuff's for real. I can't explain it either. I mean, I had an inactive glute, and he started rubbing behind my jaw bone, and I'm like, what are you doing up there? And this dude, he lays down some hurting, I'll tell you, but it's worth it in the end. So for both of you guys are very big into personal development. Mm-hmm. I'll let you choose, either 3 books or 3 podcasts / people that you think viewers should go follow. And it doesn't have to necessarily do with fitness.
Yeah,
just personal development.
Well, I know 2 of ours immediately.
I'm like, who's gonna say it? Who's gonna say it?
Definitly Jordan Peterson.
I was gonna say, I knew that one off the top of my head.
Jocko.
Yeah.
Those
Jocko,
are obvious ones.
So yeah, Jordan Peterson, I mean, one of the most misunderstood people of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For whatever
Well, his
reason.
personality, it's hard for some people, I think, to understand.
I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to be.
They just don't listen to him long
They
enough.
don't listen to enough of it.
They listen to a clickbait section of him, and then they make an opinion on that.
That's pretty much the issue with anything
He is
nowadays.
the most nuanced person. Well, not the most, but he's one of. He's very, very nuanced, right? And anybody with a true psychological background like that, and somebody who's been a therapist like that, is never going to just give you a straight answer.
It's always context.
It's going to be. You could ask him a question, and it might be an hour, and he's still answering it, right? So, if you guys are interested in just hearing what he's about, and just kind of like the reason that I started listening to him was because of Jocko's podcast. Mm-hmm. So the first episode he's ever on, I think it's like 98. It's like one of the, I always remember that number for some reason. Yeah. But so it's a really, really interesting dive into kind of Jordan Peterson. He's also been on Joe Rogan several times. Yeah. So he's just an interesting person to listen to, and I think that his lessons on personal responsibility are so meaningful. And he really combines a lot of work of, because he wasn't a popular person until a few years ago. So he's literally been a psychologist.
He came on the scene real quick.
Yeah, because of all the drama that he was involved with. But literally for 30 years, he was a true psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
So he's reading,
and a professor of psychology.
Yeah, and a professor.
Right.
So, reading all of the great people to shape his thinking. So he's a big one. Jocko Willink, can't say enough good stuff about him or the whole team, like Echelon Front in general, we really appreciate their message, just because again it's very straightforward.
Right.
There's really no BS, which is hard to find nowadays.
It is, and I appreciate when you find people like that, because like you said, there's just too much information to try to sort through. You just
and you don't know, who do you trust? What do you trust? That kind of stuff. So their stuff is always, I never even question it. It's like, okay, this is honest to the truth, what are we trying to learn about, whether it's leadership, responsibility, like that kind of stuff, discipline. They do a really great job with that. And I would say one of the books that was super impactful for me, outside of obviously Jordan and Jocko, they have books as well, his podcast, was Man's Search for Meaning. So it's really short, by Viktor Frankl, but I feel like it's a book that I could read like 100 times and still like
I feel
get
that's my
something out
goal
of it.
every day I wake up. What is my meaning today?
Yes.
No, it is a, you're like, God, I can really go back to sleep right now. No, honestly, it was, so anybody who doesn't know, Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist in Vienna during World War II, and he got sent off to, I think it was 3 different concentration camps under the Nazi regime, and he survived, obviously, to write this book and to become a psychologist, but through this, he basically understood the meaning of life through suffering, which I think a lot of people...
And he was able to articulate his thoughts in a way that, like, I think a lot of people can understand.
Yes.
That's another thing, is there's a lot of people out there that are very knowledgeable, that have a lot of great information, but they don't know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
And that makes it very frustrating, because you know that
there's something there.
there's something there.
Spit it out!
Yeah.
Come on, man, come on. But,
Do you have another book?
Do you have another one?
Probably because you said that one. The last one I would say would probably be Dale Carnegie.
Oh, yeah.
I always screw the title up. How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Great book.
It
Yeah,
is.
I'm like, sounds like you read
I
it
just
recently.
I literally always screw that title up. It's that and the you're always like 6 points away from someone or 6 directions away.
6 degrees.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
I always screw both of those up, regardless.
You're like
of-
16 people
Yeah.
away or something like that. I don't know what it is.
If I ever say one of those, you're guaranteed that I'm going to screw it up.
Oh, jeez, that's funny. Those are good. I'm actually going to have to take a look at some of those. So I had a question I want to ask both of you guys that is actually going to lead into another question. So you guys both compete, obviously bodybuilding, bikini, powerlifting.
Obviously bodybuilding.
Obviously. So how do you guys handle if you guys have to prep, like if you guys are prepping for a show or a meet together?
I'm sure we've
Have you guys done that
done
before?
that a bunch of times before.
Yeah.
They probably overlap all the time.
Honestly, it's...
Now maybe it's a little different considering you're powerlifting and you're not like
Yeah, I'm not.
you're not dieting,
No.
because I see this a lot with couples that are.
Oh no, he
dieting.
eats all of the food when I'm dieting. So yeah, it's
So maybe I
great.
should ask you, how do you feel when he eats all of your food?
It might be better if he was dieting while I was dieting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, yes, there's challenges because I think that if you for somebody like me who is very type A, it would be great to have like the perfect little bubble structure, like everything is exactly how I want it. Which would mean
competing is selfish. It's a selfish thing. It doesn't mean like you are necessarily selfish, but
No, yeah.
you have to put your needs
Yeah.
first sometimes, and that can be difficult.
when you are leaner, and people who have done this before, it's hard to understand. You're like, why are you so crazy? But like, let's say you are, a few pounds off stage weight, and you got 8 more weeks, and you're just hungry 24/7, and in the cabinet, he goes
I'm
and
trying to
buys,
gain weight.
he goes and buys something that like I would love to eat right now, and I could literally crush 2 boxes of cereal, 6 cartons of ice cream, whatever. Like your hunger is just insatiable. So yes, can that be challenging sometimes? But I would say that the great thing about our relationship, at least, which I think I hear people struggle a lot. He never is like, oh, we'll just eat this, like it's fine, or like, oh, let's go on a date night to like this really decadent place because I want to go there, and you
No
can
pressure.
you can have whatever, like
No.
It's not like that. Like it's like he knows what I need to do. He's like, you should suck it up. I have this food here. I want to eat it. But
Give him the Oreos. please.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's not like there's no peer pressure, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
to eat. And I
Well,
think a
yeah,
lot
because
of people,
I think that I still understand it,
yeah, exactly.
and even if I'm not in the situation.
Yeah.
So I know that like my goals and like what I have to do is they might be slightly different, but it's still the same intensity and like the same focus that you have to bring to that. And I know that
The level of
dieting-
commitment is the same.
Yeah, the level of commitment is the same. So
yeah.
like she just has to bring a crazy level of commitment to the table every time she eats, and I have to bring a crazy level of commitment to the gym every time I go to the gym and focus on training. And she understands that, and that frustrates her sometimes too, because then I'm definitely not as good. Like I wish I was as good as Ed was. Ed, one of his abilities was like if he had a shitty training session, which I still don't believe him that he ever had one.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
The guy never missed a lift.
Yeah.
All of his training
you
sessions.
liar. So
We love you, Ed.
One of the things that he was always really good at, from what his girlfriend says, was he could always, even if he had a bad training session, he could leave that at the gym and come home and like be happy. And I can't always do that. Like it grinds my gears and it'll get under my skin. So that's one thing that she does decent well with putting up with my bullshit. So
I've been injured for pretty much the last 3 months. I'm just kind of now starting to come back. I had thoracic outlet, a little malfunction, but we're back. But yeah, so
being out,
it's frustrating. It's almost like having a bad gym session that you can't forget for 3 months.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Finally, Joe Mushalansky, he's my physio. He's who I go to and stuff. And he's like, man, we just got to get you back. Just start moving. Like at this point, we've done treatment.
Yeah.
You know, we've taken X-rays. You just got to start moving.
You're
And the last 2.5 weeks, I've light stuff, nothing big, but it's helping. But yeah, man, that being out of the gym or having a bad gym session,
yeah,
it
puts you in a bad
messes with you.
headspace for sure.
So bad. So I guess leading away from that question, when is the next time you plan to compete, and when's the next time you can't plan to compete?
Undecided.
Undecided.
At this point. So I've been competing since 2011.
Right.
I turned pro at the end of 2014 and have competed as a pro since. And when I turned pro to now, about 5 years ago, is a completely different physique.
Yep.
You know, like IFBB bikini is way different than it was when I turned pro. And I've been riddled with injuries for a few years now, so my training has been, you know, decent at best. And honestly, just the years of just really intensive competing have...
AKA dieting.
Yeah,
Let's
like...
say that.
It takes a toll on you guys.
Perma dieting, you know, your body at some point, even if the stressor isn't right now, there's actually a concept called allostatic loading, or allostatic stress. So like basically like you could have had all this stressors like over here, right? And then you didn't really have any side effects from it. But then all of a sudden now
They
you're
show
like,
up down the road.
why am I, you know, so whether it's hormonal problems, you know, digestive problems, body fat, just accumulation. And so I'm at this period where, you know, my body is just like, you know, hey, we are done. And it's been a full year since my last show, and that was probably the hardest prep I've ever done. Was last year. Just the
you went on a roll last year. Like,
it was.
I remember going to the gym. You got another one coming up? Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it was a long one, and I was pretty much stage lean for 3 months straight.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, an extensive toll on me as well. So I kind of pretty much now, a year later, feel just normal again, which is like, you know,
That's
kind
a great feeling.
it takes that long. But now it's like, okay, so should I diet again? And it's like, no, like I'm clearly not in a position. I haven't built enough muscle to be competitive.
Right.
I enjoy competing, but I have like really nothing to prove at this point. So like for me, getting back up there, I'm gonna say I need to look better than I did before, and I haven't gotten to that place yet, to where I know that if I diet down, I'm gonna look any different.
Gotcha.
So,
and people want to compete so often, and they don't.
Especially with bikini. And divisions where they don't think that adding the muscle mass takes time.
Right.
So then it starts to catch up years later where that you've perpetually been dieting forever and you haven't made any positive gains in a direction of like muscle mass and general health.
Right.
And now you're just a dieted corpse of yourself.
I think they feel that they're not going to be remembered if they don't compete.
Which
every
is
year.
true. You're not going to be fucking remembered.
Right. But if you can take a few
you're as
years,
good as your last meet and then you're gone. And
Right.
it doesn't matter. But you have to be able to do that for yourself and have the self-awareness and self-discipline to like commit to the long haul. And
well, I think you said it perfectly. Like, if you're going to compete, you have to first and foremost want to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't do it for a trophy. Don't do it for a pro card. Do it because you love it. And yeah, you might become irrelevant for a year or so, but if that allows you to take 2 years to put on and be relevant for 2 or 3 more years,
it's worth it.
It's a good trade-off right there. So
The relevancy thing is hard, especially in bikini, you know, because it is an easier barrier of entry, so people are expected to be able to just do it more frequently.
But I think that's one of the concepts that's like incorrect with
of
all
course.
of your thinking, because
all
of this.
Not saying it's right. I'm just saying that is
That's
what
the
people think.
All of this comes from bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is the original king. It's the original sport of all of these new classes.
Right.
But no one learns and takes from bodybuilding. They have all like diverged into their own little fucking world, and they think that they can make their own rules and get better. But you have to look at like the original like father of the sport and like what did those guys do to have success.
Right.
And a lot of them stayed into a calorie surplus for the majority of the year, and then they would diet for 6 to 3 months, and then they would get on stage and they would only compete once to maybe twice a year, unless you were like already lean and you were at a competitive national level trying to get your pro card, or you were at a pro card trying to break through. So like, you have to look at the long picture, and I think that the sport doesn't allow them to do that sometimes, and they get in their own head.
Absolutely. We're our own worst enemies most of the time. Okay, so I want to end on a
When's your meet?
humorous.
You have a meet?
Oh yeah, you didn't say your meet. You got so caught up in the
Battle of the
bikini.
Bay. So 22 weeks or something like that.
So February.
February, yeah.
End of January, beginning of February. That's always a really big meet. If you're in the Tampa area, check that out.
Absolutely.
Rich Fika and the USPA put on a great event. There's always cash prizes. I'm working with another guy. This is potential that we should be able to make some kind of a academic scholarship award for that meet. So
Really?
the
That's
person
awesome.
that is enrolled in school and can show proof and registration of taking classes, whoever gets the highest votes out of them is going to get a financial reward and be able to apply
That's
to the
amazing.
school.
That's
So
awesome.
hopefully we can get that rolling and we can get that done this month, this next meet coming up. So I'll be competing there. Hopefully our baby is realized and we can get that into the meet.
Come to fruition at
Comes
that
to
point.
fruition at that point. But yeah, both of us have been working with my good friend Tony Rogers. He's a chiropractor. I encouraged him to get his smart ass online
Yeah.
and to start training and coaching people.
At Roger Reset.
Roger's
Yeah.
Reset.
Yeah.
So luckily he's been able to help navigate me with, again, things that I totally didn't understand. So we've been learning and teaching one another different things, and that was, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I was able to actually survive a meet and put up a PR total without knee wraps for the first time in 4 years or 5 years. So
Yeah, that was amazing.
yeah,
That was a
it
good
was a
job.
long time coming. So thank you, Tony, and then hopefully we'll improve on that at Battle of the Bay.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to end on a surprise question for you guys.
Surprise.
So you guys have been together for quite a while. How long have you guys been together? That wasn't the surprise question.
Yeah. Ryan's like, shit, I gotta go.
I messed this one up a lot too.
The camera's gonna turn off.
It was since Florida State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2000,
About 6 years.
6 years.
2012, 2013.
Okay, so inevitably, there are things about each other that annoy you, little pet peeves.
Oh yeah.
So let's
Good
start
question.
with Lauren, ladies first. What is your biggest pet peeve of Ryan's?
He's ready to go.
She's like,
I'm
do we
like,
have enough film?
Yeah, let me name the ways. So Ryan really enjoys leaving things out that he thinks are useful to be left out and not put away, because
He might use them within a week.
within the day, within the year, they're not really of any importance. And the drawer is potentially right there.
Right.
But he sees it better fit to leave it out where he can conveniently see it. So that is definitely a pet peeve of my tidy, type A ass.
Yeah, you and I are just like the same, because if something's out, I can't leave dishes in the sink. Like, I wash them before I sit down to eat, like, and put
Yeah.
them away. I
Oh,
just can't. I can't
yeah, oh, yeah.
stand it.
Oh, people laugh at us all the time because we do that, and I'm like, wait, why would I leave all this out? Or like,
It
no.
takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I clean my dishes.
Yes.
Well, that's an improvement.
Yes.
That's a
No.
step.
I'm
no,
definitely
he's
type
not.
A.
He's not dirty like at all.
Right.
He's just
She's
messy.
just crazy.
No, he's messy.
I'm not dirty.
No, not dirty. Messy.
Messy. Difference. Okay, so here is your chance at redemption. What?
It's pretty much the opposite. She's too organized and too clean. I leave something out for a reason. It's there because I'm going to use it now or within the immediate future.
Just because it doesn't fit into your reason
Yeah.
doesn't mean I don't have a reason.
And everything is organized in this house in a way that it's like, it looks presentable, but it's very useless. So my whole thing is I need things that have function to
Right.
be out front. So if things are just there like a skull or a box of nothing that's in the way that is a design, and I can put something up there that like I need every day or
Right.
is gonna make my life easier where I don't have to bend down, I'm gonna put that there. So that's literally our only difference.
Oh yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
That'd be it.
Oh man.
Polar opposites.
Well, I'm sure we can go on about this for hours. I want to thank Laurin and Ryan so much for coming on my channel. These two are great friends. They've helped me tremendously. I'm going to put links to Laurin's channel and their social media down below, but why don't you go ahead and tell them where they can find you guys on Instagram, Facebook.
Ryan Conley, PSA on Instagram, and on LocoFit website.
Yeah. So teamlocofit.com is the website. You can find out everything about us if you're interested in more.
And all that will be in the description box below, guys.
Yeah,
So.
coaching, different programs we offer, newsletter. We have so many different resources now. My social media is LAURIN CONLIN. So that's Instagram, YouTube, and then all the podcasts as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys again for tuning in.
Thank
I
you
really
for the-
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It's good
Yeah.
seeing you guys. If you guys like the content, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share, and I will be back with more videos soon. Thank you.